What's going on, champs and champions? It's FireMonkey here, and as much as I don't like talking too often about stuff going on in the Fortnite community over in the commentary channel, I feel like I have to for today's YouTube video because of the news we've recently gotten. Now, we will be playing a bot lobby in the background. I will be playing it live, and you see I shake my camera, all the type of stuff right there. While we're doing this, I don't know why I decided to shake my webcam hand or whatever, but it is a very interesting topic that I feel we'll have to also switch over to Twitter to explain a little bit about. So what does this all relate to? Well, it relates to Fortnite's newest update. In the newest update, they kind of revamped a lot of stuff such as movement in the game, making it so it's a lot more fluid, so whenever you're moving around, instead of having a very cartoony bounce around or whatever else, you're going to go ahead and have a lot more of an actual movement system, like if you were moving in real life. There have been some people mentioning that, you know, some of the movements feel like your character's a little drunk, like then they move side to side and switch from one side to the other, but for the most part, it's completely fine, right? I think it's actually really cool, right? I mean, as we go around here, you can see how it looks very interesting. You know, this movement's kind of what they're talking about. It looks like you're a little drunk or whatever, just the way you kind of like wiggle back and forth or whatnot. When you're crouching, you're more like actually crouched down now. As you go to the left, as you go to the right and everything, you have a lot more of that fluidity in the animations instead of it just instantly going to the normal crouch position like this right away whenever you stop moving. It actually had a little bit of that interesting design choice going on with it in order to make it a lot more unique. And, you know, mentioning all that type of stuff, you might be like, okay, so where's the controversy? Why is this such a big issue? Well, we have a tweet that we actually have to talk about here from Friday over on Twitter, which is one of the people who is the animation productions lead at Fortnite. Pretty cool position to have, right? Especially if you're someone who is able just to have that as a title and you're able to kind of like flex the fact that you work at Fortnite. That's a really cool thing overall. But he made a tweet when the update came out talking about how he was super excited to have been leading the team, keep in mind team as in multiple people, who were working on the locomotion animations and knocked it out of the park in order to make it a lot more fluid in the game. Sounds really cool, sounds really excited, but as you can see, if we scroll down even a little bit here, he has locked the replies to follows or people he mentioned only, meaning that if you don't have them following you, you can't reply to the tweet. And as you can see, it has 133 replies, it has 9.5 thousand likes, and then 2.3 thousand retweets. However, around 2,000 of those retweets are quote retweets. And the whole entire reason why they're quote retweets is because of the fact that people have been harassing him because of this change. And it's not even because of the animations itself. You would think, oh, they're harassing him because of the animation change. No, firstly, I don't think you should harass a dev anyways, but it's not because of the animation change, it's because moving is slower this season. That's right, so they're harassing an animation production lead, not because of the thing he worked on, which is animations, but because of movement being slow. That is not even something he worked on. While he worked on the thing where you can see the different effects and everything else, you can see how the character looks and reacts to moving differently, he didn't work on how fast or slow you were going to be moving, and people have been absolutely harassing this guy on Twitter. Movement has been trending on Twitter, and there's been so many people being like making jokes about how he should leave his job, how he should be fired, all this type of stuff over it, when they're complaining about something he had no actual part in the first place. The only part he had when it came to any change was how it looks leading the animation team who makes animations. And to add on to this, right, add on all this nonsense, if you go in creative mode, it has the old movement speeds and everything, and it works the exact same way. Still uses the current animations, everything we still have, but it has different movement values, which also proves that people are just harassing a guy because of something that they're not even educating themselves about at all. They're harassing them over a change that he had no part in, and it's absolutely ridiculous. And if I'm sounding angry, I kind of am, right? I'm not a developer for Fortnite. They'll never probably let me work for this game, especially since I have a history of leaking it, and that's kind of where my whole entire YouTube and Twitter following is. I'll never get a job there, right? And I'm not trying to make this video to suck up to Epic Games and try getting a job or anything like that. I am making the video because I think this is absolutely ridiculous. And as time has gone on, and as this has continued to trend on Twitter, more people have been talking about it and everything else on social media, now the newest update is they doxed him. They doxed a guy because they can't handle change in a video game. Listen, I understand if you don't like the movement. I understand if you want the movement to be changed back to the old one or whatever, but this guy didn't have any say in the movement speeds. He's the animation guy, and people are leaking his private information out publicly because of this, right? And it's so ridiculous. Now, luckily, when I was checking who was following me, when I was looking up on Twitter, because I was blocking a lot of people who were, you know, being rude to the guy, not even because I was asked to or anything, but just because I think it's literally just a douche thing to do, right? And I'm gonna be honest here, what people are doing over on Twitter with this whole entire, harassment, doxing, and everything else of someone who is just working at the game because they don't like change, fuck you. Literally, I don't like swearing too much, but I do swear, okay? Listen, that's obvious. But if you're someone out there who doxes someone or harasses someone because of a change in a video game, you have a problem and you need to seek help, okay? Oh, it feels so weird to say the F-bomb just in a YouTube video, but I have to, right? It's just something I need to, at this point, mention because it is just stupid. It's honestly just super ridiculous because of the fact of all this, stuff. And like, even if, let's say, this guy was the one who worked on the movement speeds, right? You still shouldn't harass the developers of a game because you don't like a change they made. Harassing a developer isn't going to make a change get reverted. If anything, it's just going to make the developers who work on this game not want to be personal with people and not want to actually, interact with the community anymore. And they're going to end up being in a spot where, you want player interaction, you want the community to interact with their player base or whatever else, but they're not going to do it because they're scared of people like you guys out there leaking their private information, harassing them over a change because you don't know how to actually deal with any of it, right? You don't know how to adapt or anything else, even if it's a change that's going to be changed later down the line. There's no reason to ever harass a developer like this. And if you do it, you are a ridiculous human and you need help. Now, some part of me doesn't want to make this video, right? Because I don't want people to try doxing me because I went against what they said or whatever else. But unlike an Epic developer, I've already had people send me death threats before. I talked about how you were able to go into an unreleased LTM in Fortnite like a year or two ago, which was the unvaulted LTM, which had snipers in it, and I got non-stop death threats, non-stop people telling me to kill myself and all this type of stuff because I talked about news on a channel and a Twitter account dedicated to Fortnite news. So what if they fixed it? I don't care, it's like I was reporting the news because it's literally what I do. I'm not going to try gatekeeping news or something because you want something to be exclusive so you can snipe or whatever. Literally, it's like people are ridiculous with how they act regarding any of this stuff. It just baffles me. It's just nonsensical. Like, someone like me, when it comes to me having this whole entire situation happening, at least I'm used to it. I know people are going to do that type of stuff because people online just are under the anonymous names that they have and they can't really face too many consequences. But if you're harassing a developer who isn't as chronically online on social media as me, then that is where, firstly, harassing anyone, don't do it. Like, I don't care what the reason is, don't harass anyone. But especially people who don't use social media too often, harassment and, words telling them to harm themselves or whatever else, that's going to be worse than if someone like me who's already used to it gets those type of messages because they don't know how to handle it. They're not used to getting those type of messages on the daily, so it's a weird little situation and it just sucks, right? And I just literally, I just hate how this is what the people in the community are doing and why people are acting this way. Who even knows, right? Now, I don't mean to single out a specific scene in Fortnite or whatever else, but when it comes to who is actually making these, bad choices, who's actually trying to dox these people, who's actually being super toxic about it, it all seems to be mainly related to accounts trying to either farm impressions on Twitter or accounts that are out there who are just about competitive Fortnite trick-shotting, getting clips or whatever else. People who are competitive in the game, who don't have that much of a following, appear to be the ones who are being heavily toxic towards any change, and it's been something that, it's not everyone in the trick-shotting community or the competitive community or everything, but there's a high majority of people, a high amount of people in the Fortnite scene, especially for competitive, who are just egotistical and need to lower their standards a little bit and learn how to adapt with change. And I don't mean to, call out every single person who's in the Fortnite trick-shotting or community or whatever else, right? There's a lot of people I know in that scene who are chill people. I mean, people who go to FNCS and stuff who are chill, but there's a lot of people out there who only care about earnings, who only care about the game being how they want it to be, and if you do something that allows them to not play the game how they expect it to be, then they're going to be mad at you, they're going to call you names, they're going to harass you, they're going to send you death threats, they're going to actually try doxing you, and it's just not called for. It should never happen, but it is something that's happening, and it baffles me, right? It's just like, I have my back and forth with Epic, right? I dislike certain things about the game. I dislike the new locker UI, but because I dislike the UI, I'm not going to go out there and harass a developer, leak their private information because I dislike a change to the game. No, The developers are people. There's a team of people who are making these decisions, not just one person. I am going to go ahead and talk about how I dislike a certain feature or a certain change and let it get either revamped or Epic Games decides this is what we want to keep and let it be staying that way and me get used to it eventually. But I'm not going to hurt or try harming or try, belittling developers just because they were one of multiple cogs that worked on some of the changes we have in the game today. And it just sucks, right? I know this is mainly on Twitter. This is mainly people on Twitter doing this type of stuff, but it also just shows how toxic Twitter has become, where you can't be proud of stuff you've made. You can't be excited to actually be like, yeah, I worked on this. I worked on this in a very popular game, because there will be people who don't like what you worked on, and they'll potentially put you in harm over a fucking movement mechanic in a video game being changed in a way that you had no control over it being changed in. So with that said, this has been a little bit of a heated video. Hope you champs and champettes enjoyed the ramble or something else. If you disliked it, if you didn't agree with it, maybe you're a part of the problem. And until next time, I'll catch you champs and champettes a little bit later. Peace out.